Most drivers panic when they check their oil and find it's already dark or black after just a few thousand miles, assuming this means the oil is failing or the engine has a problem. But according to lubrication engineers and oil chemistry experts, dark oil is almost always a sign that the oil is doing its job correctly by suspending combustion byproducts and contaminants rather than allowing them to deposit on engine surfaces. Understanding why oil darkens and what the color actually indicates can save you hundreds of dollars in unnecessary oil changes while helping you identify the rare cases where rapid darkening genuinely signals an engine problem. Engine oil turns dark primarily because of two chemical processes: soot particles from combustion entering the oil through the combustion cycle, and oxidation of the oil's base stocks from heat exposure. The detergent and dispersant additives, specifically engineered into modern motor oil, are designed to capture these contaminants and keep them suspended in the oil, rather than allowing them to form sludge or varnish deposits on engine components. This is why fresh oil in a high-performance diesel engine can turn nearly black within a few hundred miles, which is completely normal and indicates the detergents are working. However, oil that turns black extremely rapidly in a gasoline engine develops a milky appearance, smells strongly of fuel, or becomes unusually thick or gritty does indicate specific engine problems requiring immediate attention. Keep watching, because I'm going to explain the chemistry behind oil darkening, show you what normal versus abnormal darkening looks like, identify the warning signs that indicate actual engine problems, and tell you how to correctly evaluate oil condition rather than relying on color alone. Hey, if you like this kind of straight-to-the-point content with no BS, help me out here. Subscribe to the channel right now. It takes 2 seconds and guarantees you won't miss any tips that could save you some serious cash. Let me start by explaining what engine oil actually does and why darkening is a normal part of this process. Motor oil performs multiple critical functions simultaneously. It lubricates moving components by creating a thin film between metal surfaces that prevents direct contact. It cools engine components by absorbing heat from surfaces and transferring it to the oil cooler or sump. It cleans the engine by suspending contaminants and preventing them from depositing on surfaces. It protects against corrosion by neutralizing acidic combustion byproducts. It seals the small gaps between pistons, rings, and cylinder walls. The cleaning function is directly responsible for oil darkening. Modern motor oil contains a carefully formulated additive package that includes detergents and dispersants as primary components. Detergents, which are metallic compounds typically calcium or magnesium-based, prevent deposits from forming on engine surfaces by chemically attacking and lifting contaminants before they can adhere. Dispersants, which are large organic molecules, surround the lifted contaminants and keep them suspended in the oil rather than allowing them to agglomerate into sludge. The result of this cleaning action is that combustion byproducts, carbon particles, soot, acidic compounds, and other contaminants that would otherwise form deposits are captured and held in suspension within the oil. This suspended contamination causes the oil to darken from its original amber or golden color. The primary source of dark contamination is soot from incomplete combustion. Every internal combustion engine produces some soot, which are microscopic carbon particles resulting from fuel that doesn't burn completely. These particles are small enough to pass through piston rings and enter the crankcase oil. In well-maintained gasoline engines under normal driving conditions, soot content in oil is typically between 1 and 2% by weight, which is enough to darken the oil noticeably but not enough to compromise lubrication significantly. Diesel engines produce dramatically more soot than gasoline engines, which is why diesel oil turns dark almost immediately. The higher soot content is expected and engineered for with specialized diesel oil formulations. Rapid darkening in a diesel engine is therefore completely normal and not a concern. Oxidation is the second cause of oil darkening. At operating temperatures between 180 and 220 degrees Fahrenheit, oil molecules react with oxygen dissolved in the oil, forming dark-colored oxidation products. The rate of oxidation increases exponentially with temperature. Oil and turbocharger bearings can reach temperatures above 400 degrees Fahrenheit, accelerating oxidation dramatically. This is why turbocharged engines often require more frequent oil changes than naturally aspirated engines of similar displacement. Heat cycling also affects color. Oil repeatedly heated to operating temperature and cooled darkens faster than oil that maintains consistent temperature. This explains why vehicles used primarily for short trips darken oil faster than highway-driven vehicles, because short trips involve more cold, start-rich mixture conditions that introduce more unburned fuel soot into the oil without the extended high-temperature operation that would evaporate lighter contaminants. Now let me explain what normal oil darkening looks like versus warning signs that indicate genuine engine problems. Normal oil darkening follows a predictable pattern. Fresh oil is amber or golden colored. After 1,000 to 2,000 miles of normal gasoline engine operation, oil typically darkens to a medium brown color. After 3,000 to 5,000 miles, oil is usually dark brown to almost black in appearance. This progression is normal, expected, and indicates the detergents and dispersants are functioning as designed. The critical point from oil chemistry research is that dark color alone tells you nothing about whether the oil is still protecting your engine. Oil analysis laboratories, which test used oil samples for customers at a cost of around $20 to $30 per sample, measure actual oil condition through total base number, which indicates remaining acid neutralization capacity, viscosity, which confirms the oil maintains proper thickness, wear metals content, which reveals component wear rates, contaminant levels, and additive depletion. These chemical measurements reveal oil condition accurately, while visual color assessment tells you almost nothing useful. Oil analysis data consistently shows that modern synthetic oils in normal gasoline engines remain protective and within specification at 10,000 to 15,000 miles of service, despite appearing nearly black at 5,000 miles. This is why major manufacturers specify oil change intervals of 7,500 to 10,000 miles for normal driving, not 3,000 miles, regardless of how dark the oil appears. However, there are specific oil appearance changes that do indicate real problems requiring immediate investigation. Milky or creamy oil appearance indicates coolant contamination, which is an urgent problem. When coolant mixes with oil, it creates a distinctive milky tan or brown emulsion that looks like coffee with cream. This mixture provides almost no lubrication and causes rapid bearing failure. Coolant in oil indicates a head gasket failure, cracked cylinder head, cracked engine block, or failed oil cooler. This is an emergency requiring immediate engine shutdown and diagnosis. Any amount of milky oil is serious. Gray oil that appears almost metallic indicates significant metal contamination from severe component wear. High concentrations of metal particles from bearing failure, cylinder wall scoring, or piston damage change oil appearance from dark brown to a grayish color. Very thick, sludgy oil that doesn't flow freely from the dipstick indicates severe degradation from extreme heat. Extended change intervals, or oil contamination. Oil shouldn't be thick and gummy. Normal used oil flows freely, though more slowly than fresh oil. Oil with a strong gasoline smell indicates significant fuel dilution. Some fuel dilution is normal in engines that make frequent short trips in cold weather, but strong fuel odor means the dilution level is excessive, reducing oil viscosity and protective properties. Now let me explain how to correctly evaluate your oil without relying on color alone. The dipstick test most people do incorrectly involves pulling the dipstick, glancing at the color, and making a decision. The correct dipstick evaluation examines multiple characteristics. First, check the level, ensuring oil is between the minimum and maximum marks. Then, examine texture by rubbing the oil between your fingers. Good oil feels slippery and smooth. Oil with metallic particles feels gritty or abrasive. Gritty oil indicates internal wear and requires investigation. Check the smell by sniffing the dipstick. Normal oil has a mild petroleum smell. Strong gasoline odor indicates fuel dilution. Sweet smell indicates coolant contamination before visible milkiness develops. Examine the consistency by letting a drop fall from the dipstick onto white paper. Normal oil spreads into a clean, dark spot. Sludgy or gel-like oil doesn't spread properly. Look for particles in the oil on the dipstick using good light. Metallic glitter indicates significant metal wear. White particles may indicate coolant mixing. These simple dipstick checks take 1 minute and provide far more useful information than color alone. For definitive oil condition assessment, used oil analysis provides laboratory measurement of every oil condition parameter for $20 to $30 per sample. Services like Blackstone Laboratories or Oil Analyzers accept mail-in samples and provide detailed reports within a week. Regular oil analysis can extend oil change intervals confidently for vehicles driven conservatively, potentially saving 1 to 2 oil changes per year while providing actual data about engine wear trends. A rising iron count in successive oil analysis samples, for example, indicates increasing cylinder wall wear before any external symptoms appear, allowing preventive action rather than reactive repair. Regarding change intervals, follow your manufacturer's specified interval rather than changing based on color. If your manual specifies 7,500 miles or 10,000 miles for normal driving conditions, dark oil at 3,000 miles does not mean you need to change immediately. The dark color indicates the detergents are working. Change at the manufacturer specified interval or at the severe service interval if you do primarily short trip driving, towing, or extreme temperature operation. Use oil analysis to verify your specific change interval is appropriate if you want scientific confirmation. So here's the bottom line. Engine oil turns dark quickly because the detergent and dispersant additives are doing their job capturing combustion soot, oxidation products, and contaminants to prevent them from depositing on engine surfaces. Dark oil is almost always normal and indicates proper oil function rather than oil failure. Color alone tells you nothing meaningful about whether oil is still protective. The warning signs that require immediate attention are milky or creamy oil, indicating coolant contamination, gritty texture indicating metal particles from wear, strong fuel odor indicating excessive dilution, or sludgy consistency indicating degradation. Change oil at manufacturer-specified intervals, not based on color, and use oil analysis if you want accurate condition data. Stop wasting money on premature oil changes triggered by dark color and focus instead on the actual indicators of oil condition and engine health.